City of LaPorte Historic Preservation Commission for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 5:30 PM. Before we take roll call, we're going to add the Pledge of Allegiance back to our meetings monthly, so let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's start it out with roll call. Peter, you're up first.
I'm here.
We've got April Hacker. Jeannie Raffi, I don't know why I do that every time. Bruce Johnson, Vice Chair. Fonda Owens, Treasurer. Sally LaRocco, the Chair. With us, of course, is the wonderful Deb Parcell from Indiana Landmarks. David Heinel, our city planner. And sitting in with us is also Drew Buchanan, our city council liaison, here to liaise with us. First up is the approval of the meeting minutes from April 16th, 2024. If everybody would take a moment to peruse those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
That's Fonda makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second? Second from April Hacker. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The approval of the minutes for Tuesday, April 16th are approved. Okay, correspondence reports. We've got, it's so fun to get to make decisions. So we've got a couple of certificates, COAs to go over, and a couple to approve or deny, and an already approved one as well. Deb, would you like to take it away?
Sure. So, starting out with 612 D Street. This building is a contributing rated building, Queen Anne, built around 1895. The proposed project is home painting. So Sherwin-Williams Deep Maroon, this color right here, is the selected color. You can pass it around if you want.
She stole
for the
my house color.
And Colonial Revival Tan, this one here for the trim. Pillars will be black and brick will be a very light gray. And then the second part of this is for the front porch to replace the rotted wood boards, stain brown, and then doors will be painted black.
I can mark them.
Okay, thank you. So the finding of fact, the darker colors for the body of the house and contrasting non-white color for trim are typical for the Queen Anne period. The deep maroon color is an interior color and therefore it needs commission approval. That's approved. Exterior is all that's approved without you guys approving it. But it would be a typical color scheme. Replacing the deteriorated wood porch boards is in kind and routine maintenance, and that has already been approved by David.
Awesome.
So recommended motions are approval of the proposed paint scheme colors, and porch board replacement's already been approved.
We love it when we can approve porches to not fall apart. Any comments on the color choice? So I just need someone to move to approve or decline the. Okay, Jeannie moves to approve the deep maroon for the exterior of the Blozes house. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Got a second from Peter Steele. All in favor? Aye. The light is on.
Oh, I thought the
Sorry,
light was
guys.
on, I'm sorry.
We're learning here.
Okay,
Press
the
to
light
turn
was
on.
not on. Okay.
All right, any opposed? All right, so I think we can say approved, hooray! Of course, it's generally our perspective that a painted house is better than an unpainted house.
Yes.
All right, next one is 1302 Jackson Street for the installation of the vinyl privacy fence.
Right, this is a 1915 Craftsman rated notable. It's owned by Jeannie and her husband John, so she unfortunately cannot
I
participate
will
on
recuse
this one.
myself.
But the proposed project is installation of about 24 feet of 6-foot-high white vinyl flat-top privacy fence. There was a picture of that with the application. So the finding of fact, this fence will be located at the side property line to the rear of the property. The fence will be somewhat visible from Clayton Street. Approximately 10 feet of the 24-foot length will be hidden behind an existing shed. The proposed vinyl fence has a finish that's not totally non-shiny. She brought us a sample, so y'all can look at that, but it's not as glaring shiny as some white vinyl is. It's probably the best you can do with vinyl. Vinyl is the owner's choice for privacy and low maintenance. Wood fence is recommended in the guidelines for new rear and side yard fences. Vinyl fencing is generally not approved by the commission. This is a fairly obscure location, but not completely so. So the design of the fence is good, it's just the material that we're looking at. So because it's a material that doesn't conform to the guidelines, you guys will have to make that decision of whether you allow this small stretch.
Make a little more noise.
So,
Sorry about that.
recommended motion is approval of the fence with the condition that it's non-shiny to conform to the guidelines.
And the material is the one that we just looked at?
Yeah.
That's the material, that's a
Yeah.
cap for the post, right?
I wasn't going to bring in an 8-foot section.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the section solid, or does it have the individual slats?
You know what, the slats are in like 3-foot sections, and it all goes in, and then,
So there's no space in between.
no, there's no
a solid
space. We
fence.
did not want to look at the house next door, which is not maintained very well. And we also can see the house 1306, which I have several times gone to the city for.
This is-
They are hoarders.
A section.
And we just don't want to look at it. We want our privacy, but we want at our age and in the 70s, we just don't want to be maintaining. And actually, it does look better from Clayton, because by the guidelines of the city, we would have to have facing us. We'd have to see the posts and all
Right.
the other stuff. So actually, it is a better look with the existing metal fence.
That's true, that would be required for the Preservation Commission as well.
If I remember correctly, on your Jackson Street neighbors, those two houses are pretty close together.
Actually, by the research that Anna did, those two lots were actually part of our lot and were sold off
Split.
sometime in 11. So the lots are not too much wider than 42 feet.
I mean, I just know from like the angle of the streets of your house with the way that you drive by on the Jackson Street side, we're not seeing any of that fence.
You know what?
Just
You
the way
would,
it drives
you would
by.
see part of it on the Jackson if you
If you're looking
purposely
for it.
looked for it. But I plan also on planting like some clematis or something where the two fences, the height goes, so the clematis will actually cover and blend the two fences.
Deb, after seeing the fence sample, has your recommendation changed?
Well, I have to recommend based on the guidelines, so any change from that is
So
up
we
to you
really,
guys.
I really just need someone to make a motion.
And so
I
just
have a-
for clarification, you have existing fence that's metal.
Yeah, we put in,
Is it like a wrought iron?
you know what, it's actually, we purchased it from Lowe's, and it's one of those no-dig. At our age, it's bad enough we had a jackhammer concrete, we're not digging more holes. And so, yeah, it is a black metal fence
Okay.
that goes across the driveway and over and across the front of the house on, or the side of the house on the south end, and it runs up to a certain point because our neighbors that live at 1304, they were going to put up a privacy fence. and that was 5.5 years ago.
So, I'm looking at the map, are you talking, you want your entire,
Oh, no, go
Area
mine,
fenced in?
no, and we can't do it anyway because that's against
so where are you trying to fence in?
Just the back, it's like the back.
this little
corner.
back
Just
half.
the back little.
This little back half.
This portion, right?
This little piece here.
Oh, okay, got
This
you.
already has a wood fence that our neighbor put up, which is pretty deteriorated. And up to here is metal with a gate and that, and across the driveway is metal. So that's just this section, so we don't have to look at
Right.
their garbage.
Now, has anybody, like, have you guys put up that piece to see, like, if it would, because of the wood, wood takes a lot more, like, to maintain. With that piece there, I mean, does it, like, would this meld well with that? Like, does it look,
It looks good on our fence. It looks good on our property. I can't control
right?
what the neighbors do.
No, I'm on your side, just because of the different materials.
Yeah, it looks good. It'll look good. And like I said, I am going to put up something to take away some clematis, so it actually kind of goes and flows into it, and you don't see that jut of two different heights of fences.
Because if we decided for wood, you're still going to have two different materials for the fence.
And
then-
wood is not an option for us. At our age, I'm right behind Bruce here. At our age, the last thing we want to do is be maintaining wood. I am.
I have a question. And this is for you guys that know more about this, but on something like this, the regular zoning question about like where the fence is related to the property line and all of that gets decided outside of HPC, right? So that's already gets done before it gets here?
I already put a building permit in, which David was with me. We didn't-
No building permit is required for fences.
And according to the thing, the zoning ordinance, it can be right on the property line. So,
Okay.
Okay, I have one final question. Are we setting a dangerous precedent by approving this as a backyard barely visible fence?
I think you might want to give reasons for why you're making this exception when you make the motion, so that there's a reason
So
when
We
people
don't have a
look back.
rush of people putting
Yes.
privacy fences up in their front yard.
They can't do
not
it
in
in
their
the
front-
front
they
yard.
can't do it in the
because
front
that's not
yard
allowed.
anyway,
I just mean
by
like-
law.
But in the back, yeah, we don't want lots of those, so there needs to be a reason. So when they look back and say, well, they put up a section of that, why can't I have my whole backyard done with this?
Well, that's
You could
against
say,
zoning,
you know,
yeah.
anyway, they could put up, some people could put up more than 10 feet, I'm sure. So just so you have something to fall back onto, to say this is
To
why
deny
it applied
another
this
choice in the
particular
future.
Yeah,
time.
and like I said, the neighbor was supposed to put it up, and they split up, and she won't put it up anymore, so. I'm
Or you
tired of
can
looking
look
at storm fencing.
You could also look at changing your guidelines too, if you think that's an okay thing. I mean, that's a possibility too, to say we're okay with vinyl in the backyard where it's minimally visible. Then we'd have to define minimally, but.
Yeah, well, you know what, and
you know,
that's what
a
we also
possibility.
did, those of us that went through that seminar, that webinar of alternative materials. I mean, I know in our previous home, we put up, it was a large lot, and we put up white vinyl picket, and that was 26 years ago, and that fence is still in perfect condition and still looks good. Whereas the wood next door that was put up 7 years ago is falling apart.
So,
Technically, it makes a prettier city.
it does look pretty, and I will say, how long it lasts varies. I have white vinyl picket fence around my garden, and it's not doing so very well. It's
Well,
about
we went to
20
a
years
quality
old.
company. We had
They're
a,
cheap,
well, this was the best one within our budget.
so, but, yeah, it just varies.
Fencing between that and other stuff is gonna end up costing, that 24 feet's gonna end up costing us roughly around $1,000.
So could I make a motion to approve it as a test for maybe future possibilities of the vinyl? That way there is a reason in there that if this hasn't been done, we can test out, since it is a minimal section,
Or that we're just old and we can't paint it.
I don't
I don't think we wanna go there.
That's-
don't go there, okay.
I like that as a proposition, April, that we, it's a trial run.
A beta
Kind of
test.
see,
Yeah. Because honestly, I would like to see what that looks like coming, and honestly, there's different types of vinyl. I mean, in the future, is it a vinyl that is more, has that wood grain look? Is it?
Durability.
Are we talking, flat paneling? What are we talking? So if we see something like this, we can also still kind of see what it looks like from the road, see, all of the aspects that it can.
Certainly some
Offer,
more
maybe?
sturdy than others, and this particular kind where it's solid top to bottom, I think fits in better than some of them where it's like a woven look to it, or it's got
No.
I mean, not saying you would do that, but if we say vinyl's okay everywhere, then we get into issues of
Well,
level of
there was a
quality
more,
in that.
less expensive one, but it almost seemed like it had a film on it.
Could very
And
well
those
be.
ones, the film actually peels off.
So,
And there's quite a few, if you ride down Indiana Avenue, there's quite a few homes that have the white picket vinyl around their homes.
that could very well be, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just feel like that might be the better motion to go with.
And see how you feel about it
Yeah.
years down the road, see
Right,
if it's
see,
a good
If
thing
it's
or.
working out in the future, then
Yeah.
why not let that be an option? But if it's causing distraction of some sort, anything like that, that gives us an out to not do it.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, you can, I'll beta test it for you. I think that's the term,
Perfect.
or guinea pig, whatever.
So
so I do think that my concern with, I like the idea of like, let's try this out, right? My concern is that kind of leaches into us making style choices, which is, we are not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be kind of like adhering to the rules when we can, and then making conscientious changes as we go forward. So my concern about saying like, oh, let's try this out, is kind of like, us, yeah, it's setting precedents, and it's setting precedents because we have to think about when this group is not us. Okay, like, we don't want people running their neighborhood, their kingdom from here. We don't want people making style choices for other citizens of LaPorte, right? I think that it is safe for us to, because I'm not opposed to this fence, being familiar with this property. I think this, makes sense. Good fences make for good neighbors. It's discreet. It's really not the Jackson Street side, which is the front of the house, which is the side that we're the most concerned with. It's not visible at all, really, just in the very back corner. I think it's gonna help maintain the property, and maintain the value of the property, and also increase the value of the neighborhood. And that neighborhood specifically is a neighborhood that we're focused on saving. And so I think maybe if someone could phrase a motion that says like, backyard fences not to exceed 30 feet, or something like that. Or just period backyard fences approved. I don't wanna, I like the idea of testing it out, but I feel like that kind of crosses into us making a style choice. And I just remember that from my very first meeting, that we do not make taste choices for people.
So, question for Deb, probably. So, if we stuck with what the guidelines currently say, which is wood,
right.
right? So what kind of, I'm assuming there are restrictions around the type of wood.
Right, yeah,
It's not just any choice.
not just any wood,
Right,
yes.
it would have to be picket style.
There's several in the
Painted.
guidelines that show that. And painted is really important, which is something I was gonna look up in your guidelines, because most towns have this, and I'm not sure that you do in yours, a certain period of time that a fence must be painted after it's installed, because a wood fence shouldn't be allowed to languish for a long period of time. Sometimes if it's treated wood, it has to sit for a while.
Yeah, like
before
our
you can
neighbor
paint it.
has not treated theirs or painted it.
So, yeah, it
Except
should
on
be-
a part of the fence that faces our driveway, they slapped about 4 dog ear pickets with some redwood stain and decided they didn't like it, so I get to look at that all the time.
The,
That's pretty.
is there, in the guidelines, is there, guidelines for privacy fences?
Yeah, well, there's some examples that are like
Are they all
pre-approved
solid?
already, and they're, let's look them up. Well, here we go. Fencing, okay. So those two at the end are pre-approved, which that one is very similar, except
Yeah.
it does have space, so I think, yeah, it doesn't really detail that, other than it, down here is installing a fence where no fence exists. And it says new rear and side yard fences should be constructed of wood, so that's where that comes from. And those, just because those styles are pre-approved doesn't necessarily mean those are the only styles out there. It just means if somebody came
can
and
be
they
a staff
wanted
approval.
that in wood, yeah, David or I could approve those, so.
So the,
That's,
I have a question about that. If we're making essentially style choices that way, we're having pre-approved, why would we not be able to do that with the vinyl? I mean, it's, obviously, it's a new
Right.
concept or idea, like it would take some planning to do that, but, I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying,
So the
I wouldn't like to say that it should all be all backyards, because that then gives you a little bit more liberty to do a backyard and something, and then the front yards and something, and then we're still not looking inviting, you know? Especially like if they put their house up for sale, it could essentially damage not their sell of the house, but when somebody comes and goes, ooh, I don't know that I only like this section, you know what I mean? I want to put up the rest, then they have to come back and get that approval.
Yeah, they do.
that's true.
So, I mean, just from my perspective, I don't really see this as much different than the previous request for an exception to paint color. So, they're asking for an exception to the fence, so I would rather like limit it to that, and then as other folks come, I mean, it's considered on a case-by-case basis. Because you don't know the orientation of their properties, you don't know how much fence you would be able to see from the front, the back, the side. So I don't see any need to do it as a test, either
Oh, okay.
it's a straight-up approval. Because then you keep the rule is the rule. Someone wants an exception to the existing rule, they have to come and make their case before
Based on the
commission.
situation of their property and,
Because this is a particular layout on the lot, you have the viewing, you know, like it's all been explained, so I think it's either just we approve,
we say yes or we say no.
we say yes or we say no, and then as other people want to make changes to the fences on their property, they have to do the same thing that this homeowner has done.
So do we need to motion for this to be approved as an
Yeah.
exception?
I have a concern about that, though, because I think people are gonna say that the reason why we approved it is because Jeannie's on the HPC. So what if we said something like, we're approving the installation of this vinyl fence as an exception because of its limited visibility? And just like, pretty simple.
Because that's honestly the only reason I see it being acceptable, to be honest about it, is the fact that it's very minimally visible. It's on a corner, so because of that, every side of that property is important. I mean, both street sides are, even though one is not the front facade, it's still extremely important because it's visible. But with having that building in the way, it blocks about half of the fence. So it is minimally visible. I think that's a better reason to say.
So what condition is the building in?
The shed was horrible when we bought it. I wanted to bulldoze it, but they were so expensive. And we've put quite a bit, there it is. We've put quite a bit of time and money because the shed was so nasty looking. Pictures. Albums.
Because to the point that Deb just made, if that's not there, then the fence is entirely visible.
It has been, like I said, for, actual, excuse me, Bruce.
Okay.
It has been painted the same as, that's the front. And this is what you see from Clayton, which is in front of like 10 feet of it. We have painted, it's the same color as the house, the trim is the same, and, but this is not part of the preservation. That's-
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, that's about the only place you can put a shed. Because that's where the driveway ends, up by the shed. You need this?
No, that's
No,
okay.
you don't?
Yeah. Do you want me to read it back, or make motion?
Yeah, I need someone to make a motion for us to continue to argue about this.
So the motion, the motion is that we accept the installation of this vinyl fence as an exception because of its limited length and visibility.
I will second.
We got a second from April. Jeannie will abstain
Recuse.
from this. All in favor of approving the installation of the vinyl privacy fence as an exception because of its limited visibility from both street sides, most especially the front of the house, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I'm opposed.
You're opposed?
I'm
3 to 1.
dissenting this time, sorry. But this is fine, it'll still carry.
All right,
3-1.
Motion carries.
motion carries. Committee reports.
And thank
Moving
you.
on.
Are you doing that? Or you doing
Oh,
them?
yeah, committee reports. Anyone have anything to report from their committees? Oh, do
I
you
just
wanna
want to
talk?
mention about the school year's coming to an end, so we'll need to be thinking about printing new coloring books this summer.
Hooray.
Have to wait a little bit until, find out how many children will be in third grade in each of the schools, but I don't know how long that's going to take, but
Do
we don't
we-
want to put off the printing, so.
Do we have a count for how many coloring books are left at the museum so far from the last printing? Are we good?
I can find out.
Okay. All right, cool. Did you have stuff for Sunflower
I
Fair?
do, okay. So I was thinking for our Sunflower Fest, Sunflower Fair, a couple of things. One is, we tend to look like maybe we need some kids, right? Kids need to be interested as well. And was it Peter who was talking about it at the last meeting, the stained glass window?
Mhm.
Okay, so I thought about getting paper plates, cutting out the holes in the middle, and then buying mosaic paper so that kids could like make their own mosaic window, right? I looked up the cost of that as well as the cost of a few trifold boards. One of the ideas that we were thinking of is having like 4 different houses saying, hey, like,
Examples of windows from
Right.
houses in LaPorte.
right, and then also like, does your house qualify or fall within, the historical preservations?
Oh, yeah,
And,
okay, I remember this now, sorry.
No,
continue.
you're good. And it would be kind of like a trick question, like, all of them would be eligible, but they would be different ages of the homes. And then, they could like pick it, whatever. It's gonna be a trick question. It's all going to be, yes, you basically qualify if your home is this age or this age. But then, the window idea is so that like, just all the little things that kind of add up to what your house can do or what is eligible or available to you to maintain, make your house look pretty, all that fun stuff. But these ones specifically, when I looked up the cost for tri-boards and then 500 paper plates, and then I approximated 50 little mosaic squares, because they're like 1-inch squares possibly per plate, maybe 25, I'm not sure what they look like. It came to about $83.31. So I don't know if we can find, if anybody has a better plan on like where we might be able to get a hold of those products, or whatnot. I'm not sure how to go about that level, but I thought it would be a great idea to be able to bring in the parents and then the kids are doing something. Maybe we could, I don't know if we can, like, if we are able to, or if we have funds for that, if we are able to like recoup that by having those mosaic little window things for like $1, you know, for the mosaic papers with the plates, so that we can still recoup the funds that we spend out for that.
We absolutely can do that. So definitely, I think that people are coming to the Sunflower Fair with their kids. We want an opportunity to have conversations with them, and the best way for that to happen is to keep their kids entertained. Young families buy older homes that need help because they can't afford them, and so we need to catch them. And so I love that. You know, April and I, when we were talking about the plates, we talked about some mid-century properties, especially kind of like in the Johnson Road recently annexed area, some mid-century properties that are prime, wonderful examples. And I think that that would be a great way for us to do our part in helping them kind of be a part of LaPorte, and that their neighborhood is valuable to us. And so the premise of having something that's like examples of homes in LaPorte that does your, you know, which of these houses qualifies for designation, is really interesting, and kind of opens up some opportunities for conversation. Because people see a mid-century ranch and they go, well, wait a second, you know,
Right.
my house was built in 1958. Guess what? You're in, baby.
Can I suggest that we give the Sunflower Fest, other than whatever we have to do as our fee to be in it, if we do have to have a fee because we're a city, branch arm of the city, that we give them $100 as their budget? Would that be?
Sunflower Fest?
Yeah. That would give her ample money to do something,
I think,
since that came in at 83, give them a $100 budget.
do you have opinions on budget for Sunflower Fest?
Well, we don't have
Peter,
to,
you're also on that committee.
we don't have to pay for the spot, right?
Huh?
We won't have to pay
I
for the
don't
spot.
think so. Last year we did not, and I don't think that we have in the past.
Okay.
But we do maybe need to call Brett and make sure that he knows that we're coming this year.
Yes, please do that.
And I think that like the houses and stuff, I was going to kind of branch out to you guys to kind of say, hey, if you have good pictures of these houses or whatever. Obviously, I don't want like original pictures sitting up on a billboard that could get damaged, especially if it's raining, whatever, but, you know, so that we can get them printed up, and, you know, I can do the footwork, of course, of putting everything else together. I just need the stuff that I'm not aware of how to do.
There's, in the restricted fund, which is the only money that we have available,
Word.
right, there is $4,376 as
And-
the current balance.
Yes. And
So-
the proposal is that the plates get sold for $1 a piece, so we're, you know, recouping our cost. If we've got, you know, 100 plate projects available. So what we need to approve is the expenditure to be replaced.
Right, like, my
Hopefully.
plan is to, and honestly, if we have 500 plates and we sell 200 or 300 of them, that could go for the next following year onto something else, so that there is still kind of a surplus of budget for the Sunflower Fest, instead of, you know what I mean, constantly having to replace it if we don't have the funds for whatever reason at some point.
David, can we do that? Can we earmark any extra funds for Sunflower Fest next year?
So you're earmarking for next year?
Like, so if we have the paper plate mosaic, or stained glass window project for kids, and we sell them for $1 a piece, and it costs us $100 in supplies, but we actually end up selling 250 plates, that extra 150 smackers, can we earmark that for Sunflower Fair next year?
Well, the
or-
restricted would be available. It's not an appropriation account, it doesn't.
No, I
So it
know.
would
It's just
just go
always
back
there.
into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have to open a restricted account.
I just thought we couldn't grow.
No, you just can't grow it.
So if
Yeah.
there's surplus left over from Sunflower Fair, what has to happen to that money? Can we earmark the
Does it
pro-
go
the
directly
profit?
back? Sorry, does
Or
it
do
go
we have to
directly back?
break even?
Yeah, I may be able to get back to you on that one,
Okay.
because I don't have the
That's fine.
answer
So let's
specifically.
table that, motion approving the expense until the next meeting.
Fantastic.
All right, any other committee reports?
Sally, could we address my favorite thing, plaques? I know that it has been floating around for almost 13 months, because I asked about plaques last April, when my husband and I submitted the paperwork for designation, and I've come up with something that is sustainable for the future. Is it possible that we could please have it put on the agenda for next month?
Absolutely.
And I'll make sure that all the paperwork from the wording, the company I used, and everything, I'll make sure I get it to David, so it's part of the minutes that everybody wants.
If we've got a way to pay for it, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Well, actually, we wouldn't have to pay it. It's actually affordable for the people.
It can absolutely go on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
I want houses plaqued.
Yes,
We
and you
don't
know,
have the
people,
money to do
like
anything
the
with it.
one, the owners of, 1209 Michigan, that's what she said. All she wanted to do was see that plaque on her house, and
Hmm.
it is. It is the cherry on top of the cupcake when you do that. You're proud of it, and we need to do something and have something for the future.
All right,
Thank you very much, Sally.
awesome.
Awesome.
Any other committee reports right now? Okay, I've got my set of 3. I'm waiting to catch that third homeowner outside, working in her yard, Veda. But the other 2, they're on board. They're ready to fill out their paperwork. New business, events and outreach. I don't think I have anything for that. So Maggie, who is kind of in charge of events and outreach, she is kind of unexpectedly needing to resign from the HPC. I want to kind of let her spot sit for a minute because she's very valuable and I would like her to
Yeah.
actually come back to us. So if people have recommendations, I'm certainly willing to entertain them. Just, Maggie has that preservation and education background, so we would really like to have someone like that that's willing to donate a little bit of their time. So it's an hour once a month for the meetings and to serve on a special committee. That is what we're looking for. All right, City Hall window vinyl decal.
Yeah, so just a quick update on this. I've been working on trying to find some quotes, and hopefully, I was hoping to get something from Steinler too, but I only got something from Legacy Sign Group on potential options. I'll just pass that around. They did provide an opportunity, or like a quote and an image side by side of the existing decal that's on Jefferson Avenue, to replace the one on Michigan Avenue, which, looking at some of the old photos, it did have the number on it, on 801 at the bottom. There are some other samples in there too with the Steinler signs. There's a lighter version. Decided to go with that one, just giving this to you guys for design-specific review and discussion.
The mock-ups that you sent in the email, I thought looked really nice. I'm excited to see it get a little facelift. Fonda, should we get some matching ones done for the library?
We already have some. Thank you. I like that, though. It looks nice.
I'll get a matching one on my house. Win home inspection. I like this one.
Yes, of
fours. Yep. There we go.
Which one did he pick? Is that the one he picked? Because I know I had looked at several of them when I was there.
Any comments on the decals? I think it's gonna look great.
Would be a nice addition.
That looks
It
nice.
looks like this is,
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping to hear back from Steinler Signs, but they didn't send me anything back. I think originally to match what is in there now, it's like, we would have to buy a whole roll, and it's like $1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
I don't think we need it to match that bad. So we don't have to make any decisions, is that correct?
Nope.
Awesome. All right, we ready to move on? Hearing of visitors. Mark, do you have anything that we need to hear from you? All right. You're, huh? For a change. Lexi? We're so lucky to have Mr. Dermody here with us tonight. Of course, he's got something to say.
Good evening, and I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you for your service. I think the team that is put together right now is excellent, and the residents in this community benefit from it. I just want to say thank you, because this is a great group of people together. It's affected learning more about historic preservation, some of our decisions, and the charrette with the housing and
Oh,
the
yeah.
opportunities that we have. We look forward to including all of you in some of those decisions when it comes to looking at the homes and what's going to happen. So we're excited about the future. But I just want to take a minute and say thank you, because as you know, volunteerism is down, and the commitment of just not showing up but actually making an impact is appreciative. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thanks, sir. We're so excited you're here tonight. We're not invisible, everyone. We've got one more visitor tonight. This is my dad, Father James Ellison. He's here actually doing some work on my house while I work to pay for it. And for those of you that don't know, my dad is a carpenter by trade long time ago. I grew up in an 1865 Italianate in central Illinois, so I come by, that was also almost falling down, so I come by my love of dilapidated old buildings, honestly. All right, any announcements?
A couple things.
Sure.
Because I can't just go
June
home.
5th, yep.
So definitely reminder, June 5th, the Preservation Commission Roundtable that's going to be in Valparaiso, 6 to 8 p.m. Kurt Garner's going to be there and talk about local designation as well as National Register designation, so it should be really interesting
What's
because
the date?
That's
Pardon me?
What's the
Trinity
date?
Lutheran, isn't it?
June 5th.
June 5th.
That's
Okay.
June 5th. It's a Wednesday,
6 to
2 weeks
5.
from tomorrow,
So on
actually.
Tuesday.
What is the address of Trinity Lutheran?
201 North Washington Street in Valpo. So-
And this
even
is
do it
only
then.
open to HPC members,
Yes.
correct?
Yep, just for education, so that helps for your CLG requirements, and it should be really good. He's written more National Register nominations, successful ones, than I think anyone in the country, certainly in the state, but possibly in the country. He's amazing. So we've got that. June 22nd, Michigan City HPC is going to be hosting a wood window repair 101, so very much like what we had here about a year and a half ago, I think. So that's open to the public, anybody that wants to come. It's 10 to noon, location yet to be determined. I'll let you know as soon as I know.
Do we
thought
need
were
to
gonna have the
register
library.
online with
There
Indiana
will be,
Landmarks?
there will be an Eventbrite, yep.
Okay.
So I will share that in the very near future. Should be really good. So we've got that coming up. And then Bruce handed out this wonderful paper about Robert's Rules of Order, which I love. Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is a thing of mine. I really like things done in a good, orderly manner, and I recently attended a session on this with our local 4-H and some of the extension groups in Elkhart County. So it was really good and it was fun. And at the same time, the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions on their listserv has been putting out a whole bunch of information about how to run an effective HPC meeting. So I would really like to take this and that and pull it together for you guys to do a presentation next month on effective meetings and following Robert's Rules of Order, because it's really important.
I agree.
Isn't
Let's
that
do
one
it.
of our webinars?
This is just a question that somebody
Okay.
threw out from a town on the listserv,
Yeah.
and then people have been jumping in with their
I think one of
ideas.
those ones for the,
In camp, they have
camp.
they
the
do have
camp
a
one we
session
did.
kind
We did a
of like
session
that.
on that, yeah.
But this is something that commissions all over the country have been trying in there. You know, they're just jumping in there and saying, oh, we do this, and another one says, we do that. And some of them, I don't know, would make a big difference. Some of them would be very impactful. So just ways to be more efficient and more professional. And I think that improves your image all the way around, so.
Profesh. I agree. Let's do it. All right. Any other announcements from anyone? Super. So may I please have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I get a second? Oh, Fonda's jumping in there with a second. All in favor of adjourning the meeting of the City of LaPorte Historic Preservation Commission for May, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned at
If you're interested
6:17.
in the history of LaPorte's hospitals, I'm doing a program at 7 o'clock at the museum.